Joe Biden does have a plan. His plan was to deliberately open our borders and cede power to the cartels. What is the answer to this mess for Biden and the Democrats? More big brother, more control, even changing our culture?
You know, it's unfortunate that this hearing started off with a ton of hyperbole and posturing, saying that President Biden and his administration have created the worst border crisis in American history. That isn't about oversight. It's about stoking the fears of immigrants and those seeking asylum. And it's something I take personally as a son of a Cuban refugee. For 2 years of campaigning, we've heard about the border, the border, the border. And here we are, and yet we're not being solutions-oriented. It's hyperbole and lies.
I would like to zoom out on this one problem. Biden's national drug control strategy is 150 pages. The words God and faith are not mentioned one time. People need a purpose to be happy. To quote Robert F. Kennedy, I know that's awful hard, quote, unemployment kills, end of quote.
The gentleman is somehow looking for some kind of religious test, which is explicitly forbidden in the Constitution to people for public office, in the drug control strategy. What about the free exercise clause? What about the establishment clause of the Constitution, which says that the Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion?
The subcommittee today is meeting to hear the testimony on the impacts of the Department of Interior's remote and telework policies. We will examine the Department of Interior's telework and remote work policies and their effect on the delivery services to Americans. And to be clear, I recognize that telework and remote work can be useful in limited and well-defined circumstances. However, DOI has abused their excessive telework and remote work policies for employees at a time when even President Joe Biden is calling for a return to the office.
My colleagues have cherry-picked the evidence to support their claim that we need to return to pre-pandemic telework postures. But most of the research shows that telework flexibility is a net positive for employers and employees alike. That's probably why a 2023 survey of House employees shows Republicans use it for their own staff. COVID opened our eyes to the advantages of telework. We can't and shouldn't ignore those lessons. And it's not so much about government agencies being unproductive. It is about being under-resourced, but also overwhelmed by Republican hearing committee gotcha agendas that refocus their energies on showing up and performing here rather than doing the work for the American people.
I now recognize the ranking member, Ms. Kamlager-Dove.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let's be clear, telework and remote work works. Workers want it because it makes them more productive and reduces stress by avoiding commutes. It has been life-changing for parents, military spouses, people with disabilities, and others who have access to more job opportunities and better work-life balance. Employers want it because it helps attract the best talent. New mothers want it because it helps them manage postpartum depression, motherhood, and life, and getting to Congress. So let's continue to put this into perspective. We know now that 2023 was the hottest year on record by a wide margin, and the rate of warming over the past century has no precedent. We also had record-breaking temperatures in our oceans, with marine heat waves occurring all over the globe. Concentrations of carbon dioxide and methane, two major greenhouse gases, also hit new highs. And the consequences are all around us: extreme weather, floods, droughts, wildfires, new disease outbreaks. It's getting worse, and addressing it will require resources, coordination, and commitment on an unprecedented scale. 72% of the American people know that climate change is happening every day, not 4 times a year. But what are we here to do today? We are micromanaging where people's duty stations are and how often they have to commute.
Mr. Chairman, before I start, earlier, I believe I heard Mr. Gosar say something about President Biden's immigration policies being more big brother, more control, and more changing our culture. I just want a clarification. Is that what Mr. Gosar said? Okay. Changing our culture. I understand what he's trying to say. But I believe that immigrants are American and thus a part of American culture. For many folks around the country who might only watch far-right media or just listen to even some of the folks on this committee, I'm curious, Chief Chavez, when President Biden took office, did your agents stop enforcing the border and just allow everybody to come in, thus creating what we hear here is an open border? Did that happen when the president took office?
Sir, thank you for your question. The answer is no, sir.
Okay,
We
thank you.
continue to enforce policy and laws.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Chief Modlin, when President Biden took office, did the border just open and did y'all stop enforcing your policies?
Also, thank you for your question, sir. I can tell you this is the 5th administration I've worked for, starting with the Clinton administration, and Border Patrol agents do their job every day.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Look, as y'all probably realize by now, a lot of these hearings are not really about solutions, they're about politics. And for me, I believe solutions must be rooted in facts. I know y'all probably watch the news and are aware of what's going on politically. Would you agree that the narrative being peddled right now that says that an insane amount of fentanyl is being brought into this country by illegal immigrants, specifically, would you say that is true?
Sir, again, we're here to report on the facts on border security. I probably defer from giving an opinion on anything in the news right
With the data, right?
because that's probably doubtful. I can't
Yeah.
provide
all
a
good. Thank
factual
you, Chief.
statement.
No, I appreciate it. I agree, right? It has to be rooted in the data. You know, a Cato Institute report and CBP data shows that more than 85% of the illicit fentanyl entering the United States is brought in by citizens of the United States of America. So, Mr. Chairman, I request unanimous consent to enter into the record the 2022 Cato Institute report demonstrating that illicit fentanyl is primarily trafficked by U.S. citizens at lawful ports of entry.
Without objection.
Thank you.
The left offers endless benefits. In other words, dependency, because dependent population votes for the providers of those benefits. But a human being needs a purpose, a good job, the ability to provide for a family, a belief in a creator in order to be happy. He or she doesn't need lockdowns and destroy their small businesses. He or she doesn't need free needles and syringes so they can inject themselves with deadly drugs. He or she doesn't need lower wages and more crime to thank illegal and alien invasion. That only raises anxiety.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm surprised to hear my colleague from Arizona say some of the things he's saying. First of all, the purpose of our government is laid out very clearly in the preamble of the Constitution. We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and preserve to ourselves and our posterity the blessings of liberty, ordain the Constitution. So surely it can make a difference in terms of people's individual lives and individual paths to recovery. People will derive sources of strength from many different places, including religious faith, including their friends and their family, including psychology and so on. But the idea that our drug strategy is flawed because it doesn't put religion at the center seems to me to be preposterous. And the gentleman also said no matter how you try to intercept it, it's going to make it worse. On the contrary, what I've heard from Dr. Gupta is that the new technologies of interception are working in order to reduce the flow of fentanyl into the country.
Last week, Representative Paul Gosar posted to Twitter an animated video depicting him killing his colleague, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and violently swinging a sword at President Joe Biden.
When a member uses taxpayer money to produce a video encouraging violence against another member, they should lose the privilege of serving on a committee. That's what serving on a congressional committee is. It is a privilege. It is not a right. And I don't know what Congressman Gosar has said in the privacy of Republican conference meetings. I'm not getting any invitations to those. And frankly, Madam Speaker, I don't really care, because it's what he said publicly that counts. And publicly, he has defended his actions. If you vote for a bipartisan bill, your own colleagues will call for retribution. But if you tweet a video depicting the murder of a colleague and depicting violence against the President of the United States, that's somehow okay. Come on. His office produced this video, and Congressman Gosar defended it. We have people out there being influenced by garbage like this. We have members being forced to pay for security. We have members getting death threats. This is dangerous stuff that we're talking about here.
It is a sad day in which a member who leads a political party in the United States of America cannot bring themselves to say that issuing a depiction of murdering a member of Congress is wrong, and instead decides to venture off into a tangent about gas prices and inflation. What is so hard? What is so hard about saying that this is wrong?